What's that do?
Pop culture is filled with innumerable shows that revolve around supernatural beings ranging from vampires to werewolves and fairies. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one such show that has captivated audiences' attention. The supernatural drama series first premiered in 1997 and lasted 7 seasons until 2003. Centered around the life of Buffy Summers, the show's plot follows her journey as she remains the last in line of young women chosen to fight against vampires, demons, and other supernatural entities. As the story progresses, Buffy accepts her life and becomes a seasoned vampire killer, and today we shall look at her powers and features and tell you all about her. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. How did Buffy become the famous vampire slayer? Born to Hank and Joyce Summers in Los Angeles, Buffy had a seemingly normal childhood with a lot of friends. However, she sometimes had strange experiences where she could see demons and supernatural entities. When she turned 15, Buffy started having strange dreams, and she came across a man who told her about her destiny as the Chosen One. This man, Merrick, became her first watcher and assisted her in training to become a vampire slayer. She soon defeated the Vampire King Lothos and took a trip to Las Vegas to hunt down vampires with Pike. At this point, Buffy decided to tell her parents about her destiny as a slayer, but they were in disbelief. They ended up sending Buffy to an insane asylum for weeks, and she decided never to share her true story with her parents again. She later moved to Sunnydale with her mother. She embraced her life as a slayer and spent 7 years serving as a guardian of the Hellmouth, a portal that connected Earth to the next dimension. How old is Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Buffy Summers was born on January 19, 1981, and she first became a vampire slayer in 1996 at the age of 15. When the show started, Buffy turned 16 in the first season and later celebrated her 17th birthday in the second season. As the series went on, Buffy turned a year older with each season and even attended high school and college before embracing adulthood. She turned 22 in the sixth and last season of the show, and this birthday was celebrated in an episode titled Older and Far Away. What made Buffy such a deadly vampire killer? Just like other slayers, Buffy was naturally proficient at physical combat using different forms of weaponry and unarmed combat styles. All these things helped her become a deadly vampire killer. Additionally, she had undergone training to hone her martial arts skills, especially jiu-jitsu and aikido. Buffy's fighting style was an improvised version of everything she had learned during her training, and she would use her emotions or attempt to weaponize any tool in her environment to defeat her opponent. She did not have a standard technique and preferred going with the flow and adapting to the situation. While some believed this technique was sloppy, it helped Buffy gain the upper hand as her opponents could not predict her next move. While Buffy gained physical strength as a slayer, she could stand her ground even when she lost her slayer powers during the Supernatural Crisis Act. Even without her supernatural strength, Buffy defeated a human MMA fighter in combat, which is a testament to her strength and skills as a deadly vampire killer. Did Buffy have heightened senses? Like other slayers, Buffy was blessed with heightened senses and was much more aware of her surroundings than a regular human being. Her senses were sharp enough to enable her to fight in the dark or locate an attacker, even when they were not in her field of vision. For instance, Buffy fought against Giles while blindfolded, and she once figured out Marcy Ross's position and punched her even though Marcy was invisible. Buffy could sense the presence of other beings, and she once sensed a group of invisible demons as they quietly made their way through a room to attack her. While she could sense other beings, she did not possess the ability to detect supernatural presences or differentiate between humans and vampires or other creatures. She typically relied on her wits to tell the difference between the two, and she had to wait until vampires revealed their demonic visages and made their presence known. Exploring the psychic powers of Buffy. Buffy was connected to all the past slayers through a psychic link that gave her access to their memories and experiences. This link allowed Buffy to learn from them, hone her skills, and serve as a channel of communication with other coexisting slayers. Buffy and Faith often shared dreams through this link, which was especially useful when Faith was in a coma and incapable of communicating otherwise. Besides a psychic link, Buffy had the gift of prophetic dreaming, which allowed her to foresee events. With the help of these prophetic dreams, Buffy learned about Angel losing her soul, the death of potential slayers, and Jenny Calendar's deception. What were some of her major temporary powers? Buffy gained some temporary powers over the course of her story arc, and for a brief period during high school, she could perform telepathy. After killing a demon, she gained his telepathic powers and became capable of hearing others' thoughts. However, she felt quite overwhelmed by all these thoughts that kept echoing in her mind, and she eventually consumed a potion containing a demon's heart to get rid of this power. In another scenario, Billy Palmer's astral projection abilities caused everyone's nightmares to manifest across Sunnydale, and Buffy also fell victim to this tragedy. Her worst nightmare was becoming a combination of a slayer and a vampire, which unfortunately came to life. As a slave pyre, Buffy became more powerful than ever and easily defeated the Ugly Man. Billy soon woke up from his coma, thereby enabling Buffy to return to her normal state. After Buffy was resurrected, she was accidentally turned invisible by the trio, and she initially enjoyed this power. However, she later learned that her life was in danger, and Willow helped her turn visible again by getting a hold of the trio's invisibility ray. Buffy once used an enjoining spell to gain the combined powers of other beings such as Xander, Willow, and Giles. In order to defeat Adam, this enhanced Buffy's pre-existing powers and gave her magical abilities and access to Giles' knowledge of hand-to-hand combat and spells. She could fry bullets in the air, transform a missile into a dove, and even rip out Adam's uranium power core to defeat him. At the end of the Twilight's crisis, Buffy's strength, speed, agility, and reflexes were greatly enhanced. After changing the world and the balance of the Great Design, she was temporarily gifted telescopic vision, invulnerability, flight abilities, and superhuman hearing by the universe. She could only access these powers if she paid undivided attention to her goal, and she lost these powers after the destruction of the Seed. When Joanna Wise turned into a magic-infused cyborg, Buffy was the target of a spell that reversed the activation of all Slayers in the world. As a result, Buffy gained the powers she shared with the Potentials in 2003. These revised powers included the ability to cut magic with a sight, fight against the rate of death, overpower Wise, and even heal from wounds at a faster rate. After defeating Joanna, the spell was reversed and Buffy lost these temporary powers. Exploring the colorful romantic life of Buffy. While Buffy was mostly engaged in romantic relationships with men, she has had a couple of encounters with women. She engaged in intimate acts with another Slayer called Satsu on 2 separate occasions, but she later claimed that she was only experimenting and that it was a phase she had. It was implied that Buffy might have been in a relationship with Faith at some point, but she never commented on her sexuality or explicitly stated something about being involved in women. Buffy's most intense relationships were with men, and she once engaged in a romance with a vampire named Angel. Buffy was quite surprised to learn he was a vampire, but she spared his life when she learned he possessed a soul. While the two knew they would never be able to be in a relationship, they eventually started seeing each other and even slept together. This act caused Angel's curse to break, and he soon lost his soul and tried to destroy Buffy. They engaged in a fight in his lair when Angel regained his soul, but Buffy still decided to send him to a Kathless dimension as a preventive measure. She then left Sunnydale to move on, but she kept dreaming of him and eventually reunited with him when he returned from the Hell dimension. They tried to date again, but Angel decided that their relationship was unfair to Buffy, and their second breakup broke Buffy's heart. However, Angel later turned into a human, and the two finally got a shot at a normal relationship until Angel decided to undo this process. The two had quite a tumultuous story arc as they kept separating and reuniting at different stages in their lives. Besides this, Buffy was in a relationship with Riley Finn while going to UC Sunnydale. While Riley initially did not catch Buffy's eye, the two eventually made their relationship official after a lot of back and forth. The two made a good pair but were unable to save their bond, and Riley eventually asked Buffy to give their relationship another chance or he would leave for the military and never return. When Buffy decided against giving them another chance, Riley left after realizing that Buffy did not prioritize him and only saw him as a convenient option. After closing this chapter in her life, Buffy ended up in a relationship with a soulless vampire named Spike. The two were initially brutal enemies, but Spike soon fell for her after he was implanted with a chip that prevented him from hurting humans. The two got into a relationship but struggled to have a normal life, especially when Spike realized that he could potentially hurt Buffy despite his chip. Buffy had just been resurrected at this point, and the two started fighting each other in an abandoned building. However, their fight soon turned into a confession of love as they kissed each other and even engaged in intimate acts. Buffy regretted this later. She continued to be in a mutually abusive sexual relationship with her. She later started developing feelings for him, but she broke up with him when Riley returned to her life. Buffy reunited with Spike after several months and was shocked to learn that Spike had regained his soul in order to prove himself worthy of her. They had quite a chaotic relationship that was spread across seasons and story arcs until they arrived at a mutual decision to break up. Over the course of 6 seasons, Buffy had a few short-lived romantic interests such as Billy Fordham, Tyler, Jeffrey Kramer, Owen Thurman, Tom Warner, Scott Hope, Parker Abrams, Dracula, Robert Dowling, and so on.
For you.
You were destined to die. It was written.
What can I say?
Could Buffy be an immortal vampire slayer? Throughout the show, the creators have emphasized that no slayer have lived past the age of 25, and that they have ended up dying at the hands of a vampire, demon, or due to natural reasons. The slayers were not blessed with immortality, and there's nothing that suggests that Buffy was an immortal vampire slayer. While Buffy is canonically immortal, there is a chance that she could be turned immortal with the help of magic, but this is a mere possibility that has not been explored. Marvelous verdict. To sum it up, Buffy was quite an iconic vampire slayer, and she managed to attract a huge fan following. With her impressive psychic abilities and intellect, Buffy had an arsenal of tools at her disposal in her quest against vampires and demons. She surely created quite a substantial universe that was centered around her adventures against the threats posed by supernatural entities, and she has created quite a legacy for herself. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.